Virgo, this is Fox Astrology here with your astrology and tarot report for the month of August 2019. This is specifically covering love. This is going to be an interesting month. Venus is involved a lot, so I feel like this is going to be a little up and down as there's some Mercury square and some Saturn involved, but ultimately this month is going to have a lot of influx, a lot of flowing in of really positive love energy. So keep an eye out for August. Starting out, I have some information for Virgo. Excuse me. Some information for Virgos. If your ascendant is in Virgo, I have some specific information for you that will really help to kind of narrow in on what this is going to do. If your sun or moon is in Virgo, I only have one real key point to take away here, as it's a little harder to tell what is more specific for your sign without having a knowledge of your ascendant sign. But this should still have some really great information for you with your sun or your moon involved. Now, starting off on the 3rd, we have Mercury going direct, moving back into Cancer, as it was sitting in Gemini for a while. This is in the sidereal zodiac, by the way. So Mercury-wise communication should kind of go well until later on the 16th when we have a square, but I'll get to that. On the 7th and the 8th, we have both the Sun and Venus trining Jupiter in Scorpio. So Jupiter in Scorpio, this is generally, as far as transits go, Jupiter's been there obviously a while, but with the Sun and Venus trining, I brought in the Two of Love from my Cathar Tarot deck to kind of help really bring a parallel in from the tarot to explain what's going on in this transit. The Two of Love is, if you're in a partnership, I believe a great time for developing and reaching a deeper level of intimacy as you get to know each other. It may be a little scary at first, as this may bring up some shadow, may bring up some darkness in each other's life, recognizing maybe things that they've suffered, things that they're insecure about, maybe some dark sides, but ultimately this is going to bring you together. If you're single, if you're on your own currently, this is probably not a good time to be working on a romantic relationship, as this is probably the best time for you to get to know yourself better. Jupiter in Scorpio really wants to grow and establish a deeper awareness of this Scorpio energy. With the trine with the Sun and Venus, this is going to really help you understand yourself better, understand what you need for yourself, your own needs in love, being able to love yourself deeper and love yourself more fully. So this is going to be a great time for that, but just not, if you're single, just not necessarily for developing a romantic relationship. On the 13th, we have the Sun in conjunction with Venus sitting in Cancer currently. So this is a little emotional based, I would say in general for a Virgo. This is going to be a little tougher, as emotions aren't necessarily your strong suit. It really depends on if this is Virgo in the moon, Virgo in the sun, Virgo as an ascendant, and what your moon placement is in general. But Cancer is going to bring in some deep needs for emotional security, some deep needs for self-care, nurturing yourself, making sure you're comfortable, making sure you're experiencing some positive feelings in your body. Now with the Sun in conjunction with this, I brought up the love feast, as I feel like if you're in a partnership, this is going to make this a very deeply emotional time. I would recommend going out, being a little adventurous, doing some fun things. This could be going to hear music live, going to an art gallery, going to something that's really going to engage your senses and really get you present in your body, and having some fun with your partner. If you're on your own, if you're single, this is probably a pretty good time to go out on a date and do roughly the same thing. Being out around the arts, engaging the senses. This is probably a good time to plan around that time, as the love feast in this deck is really a great time for kind of a meeting of opposites, a meeting of attraction, passion, harmony and balance, and empathy as well. So really great. On the 16th, we have Mercury squaring with Uranus in Aries. This is the transit I talked about earlier. Mercury going back direct into Cancer is great, but this square is going to, for a short period of time, because Mercury runs so fast through these transits, short period of time, this may be difficult as communication, expression, sharing of ideas may become difficult with Uranus and Aries. Uranus and Aries wants to really shift forward and move forward, and will really choose, single focused ways of accomplishing what it wants to accomplish. So with Mercury squaring up with Uranus, this may cause some frustrations, some struggles, but ultimately here you'll see in Montsegur, this is kind of like the parallel to the Tower in a Rider-Waite deck. The Montsegur talks about making room for newness, making room for new ways of establishing security, stability, safety. But as a result of establishing those new things, you're going to have to let go of some old ones. The universe is going to kind of bring in something that's just going to really take it down a notch and make you realize, what some vulnerabilities are. Make you realize, what this may not work long term. This may have worked before, but not anymore. It looks a little scary, obviously, these little fireballs knocking down the walls, but that's what has to happen sometimes in order to make room for some really great changes, some really great improvements. Seeing as that is about love, I would say this can be a little scary for Virgo, as maybe some plans, some details may get a little lost, may get a little fudged as Mercury is involved here. So be cautious in your communications. Make sure you're double checking, sort of like a little mini Mercury retrograde here, but this is more about moving forward. This isn't about, redoing anything, restructuring as Mercury retrograde typically is. This is about moving forward and recognizing what doesn't work and using that as a nice method to discover that. So later on the 17th, we have a couple of transits to talk about. I've grouped it all together. On the 17th, we have Venus moving into Leo. On the 18th, we have the Sun moving into Leo. And even later in the month, we have Mercury moving into Leo on the 27th. So I've brought it all together with this one kind of concept here for the month. As everything moves into Leo, we're getting this great passion, this great sense of joy, of creativity, this infusion of energy from the Sun, from Venus, and from Mercury, as you're really going to want to express and share, this sense of your role in the universe, this sense of you taking part and participating in this, kind of, what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the word. Kind of a universal manifestation, collaborating with the universe in this process. Leo really wants to shine and show a new way, take a path and lead others down that path as well. So this is a great time to show the best version of yourself off. If this is in your relationship, this is about giving credit where credit is due, recognizing the other person's accomplishments, the other person's role in your life. And as a result, they'll reciprocate. They'll recognize, what, you've also done this for me. If you're on your own, this is definitely a time to shine as well. This is a great time for people to, if you're trying to meet them and trying to establish a new relationship, it's a great time to show off that good side of yourself, show off the best version, as this will help them realize, what they have in store for themselves later if they happen to be in a relationship with you. I feel like Esclarmonde de Foix is this great example of a leader who leads with compassion, who leads with this kind of very feminine side. Later on the 21st, I don't have a card for that, Mercury trines Saturn in Sagittarius. Now this is one thing I wanted to bring up for those who have their sun or their moon sitting in Virgo. Sagittarius is currently about 90 degrees, well, it always is. Sagittarius is 90 degrees sitting away from Virgo. So here the sun and the moon, where they currently are if you have your sun or moon in Virgo, this is going to be squaring this transit. So you may find a little bit more tension in your romance. This is probably, in general, not a good time to get to like the nuts and bolts of relationship problems. If you're in one, it's probably not a good time to define the relationship and get into these details that you want to work on. Take a break from that, get away, have some fun, kind of do a little bit of escaping, as the focus will really want to be on what you can do together that's fun, to kind of take the pressure off of this effort of having adventures together, maybe going on. Just kind of relax, have no plans, just figure it out, because Mercury trining with Saturn here, you're going to want to really get into it, but the effort involved, the need to really make it happen a certain way is going to make it kind of blow up in your face. That's kind of what Saturn does. It makes something really sensitive for you, makes something really challenging for you that you get really drawn into and worried about, and as a result, it kind of gets squeezed a little too hard, and as a result can kind of spoil the fun, so to speak. So if you're on your own, I recommend this is probably a good time to make plans to go out, have a little adventure, maybe see an old friend that you haven't seen in a while, or go on a hike, that sort of thing. Do a very Sagittarian thing and get out there and have some fun. Try something new. On the 24th, we have Venus in conjunction with Mars sitting in Leo. Now for a Virgo ascendant, Leo sits in your 12th house. I would say in general, since this is happening in Leo, in your 12th house, Venus in conjunction with Mars is a great time if you're in a partnership for working on each other's shadow again. You're going to have a lot easier time working on the unconscious realm, the unlimited realm, the boundaryless realm of the unconscious, your connection with others, your connection with culture and other people in general, the world. And so this is probably a great time to really dream together, really get into a mode of self-sacrifice, a mode of helping each other in the best way, removing obstacles for each other, tapping into that sort of psychic bit that happens in the 12th house associated with Pisces. But with Leo involved here, this is really about taking a role of leadership, recognizing other people's, giving credit where credit is due, that sort of thing. It's a great opportunity to bring yourself together in a relationship. If you're on your own, I would say this is probably a good time to kind of stay indoors, do a little journaling, a little introspection, a little taking a look at what you've got going in your life right now. And this will really help kind of collect some energy for yourself for later on, romantically. Maybe this would be a good time to sit down and watch a movie, kind of date yourself, take yourself out on your own date, and this will go really well for you. On the 26th, we have Venus trining Uranus in Aries. On the 28th, we have Mars trining Uranus in Aries. And on the 29th, we have Sun trining Uranus in Aries. So all these three transits, all tapping into this Uranus in Aries energy. In terms of love, if you're in a relationship, this is going to be a great time to bring in some infusion of newness. This can be new ideas, new behaviors, new fun things to do together. Maybe even making some big changes, some big plans for your future together, as Uranus and Aries is really going to want to shift things forward, strip away some old behaviors, some old things that aren't supporting you, aren't moving you forward, and this will really infuse some really big energy. It's going to lift your relationship up to a new level where things are going to be exciting, things are going to seem unfamiliar and interesting and new and stimulating. Great time if you're in a relationship. If you're on your own, this is a great time for getting out there and trying something new. This can be just getting out there and, if you've got something that you've always been afraid of doing, something that you've been really feeling daring, maybe a little risky, Uranus and Aries is going to want you to try that thing. Put your foot forward and take a step into a new direction. Something that's going to improve your life, improve your lifestyle in the long run as you create a new behavior. And as a result, maybe you'll meet somebody. Maybe you'll find somebody else who's interested in the same things, wants to have the same life, wants to have that connection with you as a result of you putting yourself out there, taking a little risk, trying something different. So hopefully that helps you. I'm going to pull a couple of cards for you, Virgo, just to see if there's any messages coming in for you, and we'll wrap it up. All right, so Virgo, I feel like here, the key here is patience, having a bigger spiritual perspective about this process for you romantically. If your partnership is experiencing any trouble, it's a time to pull back. Really take a look at the long view, that you can do this in conversation. Asking questions like, what kind of dreams do you have for our relationship? What kind of dreams do you have for your own life? And how do you see me fitting into them? How do you see me really involved in that life? Creating conversation around the future can be inspiring. Creating conversation around the future can help bring in a little bit of a fire, a little bit of inspiration to lift the relationship up. If you're feeling like it's a little doomy, if you're on your own, this is a great time to pace yourself. Think about really what it is that you want for your life. Think about the details of how you want your ideal relationship to work. If you want to have somebody who looks or acts or has certain goals, then you want to think about the long term, not just about where you're at right now, but where you want to be. This perspective will really help you line up some of those details that may have caught you in the past. Maybe missing some red flags, maybe not really catching somebody who worked in the long term, but worked for you right now. The cards coming in are saying to really keep this point of view. The ant understands patience. The ant is this tiny, tiny little insect, but it still feels a sense of purpose. It still feels connected to the greater cause. So don't get lost in feeling small. Don't get lost in feeling like there's these tiny little movements and you have so much further to go. Don't get lost in that. Recall your sense of purpose as being patient, knowing that what is going to make you happy and what is going to be valuable and worth it is generally going to be difficult. It's going to require patience. It's going to require persistence, determination, motivation, focus, all of those things. So remember that. And the eagle here reminds you to take a look at this, really high up spiritual perspective, recognizing really the role you have to play in this universe, how things may seem chaotic, how things may seem a little crazy. But with all these transits, I'm noticing right now this month is really about allowing yourself to get to know yourself, have more self-awareness, reach a deeper level of intimacy, either with your partner or with yourself. And more specifically, having a sense of passion. Sometimes a spiritual perspective can give us convictions, can give us motivation, can give us a connection with our future that gives us more passion and infuses our life with meaning. So Hopefully this helps you on your journey in August. I look forward to hearing your feedback. And as always, make sure to check out the other videos I have if you're a Virgo Ascendant, if you're a Virgo Sun, or if you're a Virgo Moon. Make sure to check out the signs for your other main objects in your natal chart, and that will definitely help you round out the perspective for what's coming for you in August. I look forward to hearing back and your comments below, and as always, you can if you like what you're watching, subscribe if you want to see some more, and make sure to click the bell if you want to get notified as soon as I upload more astrology and tarot reports. I do stuff weekly, I do stuff monthly, so keep an eye out. Peace.